Hi, good days. Hope you're doing fine. In this series, we will discuss about the important questions from the Victorian age. If you are ready, let's get started. The Victorian age. The Victorian age is from 1850 to 1900. Problems during Victorian age is proliferation of slums, exploitation of child labor. Serious offences during the ages: men smoking in public, women riding cycles. Whom does W.J. Long calls as the representative literary man of the Victorian era? Tennyson. Who witnessed the Victorian age as a steady advance of democratic ideals? Crompton Rickett. The Princess Maud and the Idylls of the Kings are about the privileged and highly placed sections of the society. Dora and Enoch Arden are about less privileged sections of the society. Tennyson became the poet laureate at the death of Wordsworth in the year 1850. Victoria ascended the throne in the year 1837. Alfred Tennyson won the Chancellor's Medal at Cambridge for the poem Timbuktu. Tennyson's In Memoriam is a philosophic elegy on the death of his friend Arthur Henry Hallam. Tennyson's Maud is a melodrama. Tennyson held the poet laureateship for 40 years. The most famous collection of Victorian comic verse is the Bab Ballads. Tennyson's Idylls of the King is blended with the stories of King Arthur. Water falling slowly down the mountainside, night dews falling noiselessly on still water are the lines from the poem The Lotus Eaters. Tennyson's first solo collections of poems chiefly lyrical in 1830. In Memoriam, A.M.H. is a long poem detailing the way of the soul. The Princess, a medley, is a satire on women education. Tennyson's poem arguing against women's education is The Princess. Tennyson's Becket is a verse drama. I cannot rest from travel, I will drink life to the least. The lines are taken from Tennyson's Ulysses. Which poem of Tennyson ends with the line to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield? Ulysses. Tennyson's Break, Break, Break is a lyric. Who commented that he could understand only the first and last lines of the poem Sordello, written by Browning. Tennyson. Which work is considered as the masterpiece of Browning? The Ring and the Book. Which is the last work of Browning? Asolando. Browning's The Ring and the Book is a verse novel containing 21,000 lines. The Ring and the Book was published in 4 volumes, which is the first collection of shorter poems by Browning, Men and Women, which was the first new work published by Browning after his marriage to Elizabeth Barrett Browning, Christmas Eve and Easter Day. Browning's poetry is preeminently the poetry of situations presented in dramatic monologue, whose words patter. A Grammarian's Funeral and My Lost Duchess are dramatic monologues. Arnold won the Newdigate Prize for the poem Cromwell, which is the first book of poetry by Arnold, The Straight Reveller. Arnold is at his best a very good but highly derivative poet whose words are these. Bloom. The Ring and the Book is regarded as Browning's most substantial work. Browning's favorite verse form is dramatic monologue. Queen Victoria succeeded to the throne of England after William IV. The Golden Jubilee of Queen Victoria's reign was celebrated in 1887. Queen Victoria became the Empress of India in the year 1876. The Oxford movement was basically a religious movement. The Oxford movement was started by the scholars of the Oxford University. What was common amongst D.G. Rossetti, Christina Rossetti, Morris, and Swinburne? They all belonged to the Pre-Raphaelite school. Who was the leader of the Pre-Raphaelite group of artists in England? D.G. Rossetti. The basic theme of Arnold's literature and dogma is theology. Arnold's Culture and Anarchy deals with the subject of education. Darwin's The Origin of Species challenges biblical concept of the creation of the world. What is common amongst Cardinal Newman, John Keble, Henry Newman, and Stanley? They were all associated with the Oxford movement. Which novel is called a novel without a hero? Vanity Fair. What is meant by Wessex? The region in which Hardy's novels are set. George Eliot's novel Romola is a historical novel. George Eliot was the pen name of Mary Ann Evans. Charles Dickens left a novel unfinished which is titled Edwin Drood. Matthew Arnold's Tharsis is an elegy written on the death of Hucklow, who wrote, "If God did not exist, it would be necessary to invent him." Voltaire. The Dynast is an epic drama written by Hardy. It deals with the Napoleonic Wars. In which of Hardy's novels the scene of a wife's auction takes place? The Mayor of Casterbridge. Wilkie Collins as a novelist is best known for the creation of sensational plots. The phrase stormy sisterhood is applied to Charlotte Bronte, Emily Bronte, and Bronte. What award was given to Hardy as a great novelist? Order of Merit. In one of his novels, Hardy says happiness is but an occasional episode in the general drama of pain. Which novel? The Mayor of Casterbridge. Hardy believed in the philosophy of fate. In one of his novels, Hardy quotes Shakespeare's remark as flies to the wanton, boys or we to the gods, they kill us for their sport. In which novel does he quote these lines? Tess. Who is the author of Prometheus Bound? Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Which poet speaks of nature as red in tooth and claw? Tennyson. Which novel of Charles Dickens is most autobiographical? David Copperfield. Who is the author of the novel No Name? Wilkie Collins. Dickens said about one of his novels, "I like this the best." Which novel was he referring to? David Copperfield. Charles Dickens' characters are generally flat. In Dickens' A Tale of Two Cities, the two cities referred to are London and Paris. The theme of Tennyson's Idylls of the King is the story of King Arthur and his round table. Tennyson's Queen Mary is a drama. Let knowledge grow from more to more, but more of reverence in us dwell, that mind and soul, according will, may make one music as before. These lines are quoted from Tennyson's In Memoriam. What do these lines imply? Compromise between knowledge and faith. And may there be no mourning of the bar when I put out to sea. These lines occur in Tennyson's Crossing the Bar. How many years did Tennyson take in brooding over and finishing In Memoriam? 17 years. Which poem of Browning begins with the lines, "Grow old along with me, the best is yet to be"? Rabbi Ben Ezra. I was ever a fighter, so one fight more, the best and the last. In which poem of Browning do these lines occur? Prospice. Gods in his heaven all stride with the world. In which poem do these lines occur? Pippa pauses. Truth sits upon the lips of dying men. In which poem of Matthew Arnold does this line occur? Shograf and Rustum. Others abide our question. Thou art free, we ask and ask. Thou smilest and art still, out-topping knowledge. In these lines from a poem written by Matthew Arnold, thou refers to Shakespeare. In Oliver Twist, Charles Dickens attacked the 1834 Poor Law. Cardinal Newman is associated with the Oxford movement. Tracts for the Times are a series of doctrinal and historical pamphlets written by Newman. Apologia Pro Vita Sua was written by Newman. The magazine associated with the Oxford movement is the British Magazine. The Oxford movement called for a reconciliation between the English and the Roman Catholic churches. The first considerable poem of Browning is Pauline, and we are here as on a darkling plain where ignorant or mist clash by night. These lines are from Arnold's Dover Beach. The poet who published his first poems under the initial A is Arnold. Matthew Arnold took story from Sean Emma for his Shohrab and Rustam. Arnold wrote Tyrese to commemorate the death of Sir Arthur Clough. The Charge of the Light Brigade is a poem by Tennyson. Tennyson's Maud and other poems appeared in the year 1855. Easter Day is a book by Browning. What is the message of Tennyson's poetry? Faith and trust. Robert Browning eloped and married Elizabeth in the year 1846. Which public hero did Browning have in mind while writing Patriot? Arnold of Portia. Which poem of Elizabeth Barrett impressed Browning so much that he wrote to her and that started an affair between them? Lady Geraldine Courtship. Soliloquy of the Spanish Cloister is the dramatic monologue by Browning. Thank you so much for watching this video till the end. If you are having any suggestion, let me know in the comment section. We'll see you next video. Tada, bye bye.